See? Okay, hello. I think that we're live. Let me just check things out because this is my first time. I'm live on the Zuri Wine Tasting page. So let's see. Let,
Let's see.
let's see if this is working. You guys have to bear with this while we figure this
Please
out.
do.
Okay. Um, let me see. Mm, do you see it at all? How come it says go live, right?
Yeah, it
Um,
says go live. Actually, it's saying we are live. It's just to see if we can connect it to our Instagram.
mm, let me try Facebook.
Okay.
Ah, I'm super excited to talk to you about Afro Wine Week. So
I am super excited to talk about Afro Wine Week. I'm so pumped. The kind of people I've been talking to, everybody's like, "What's that? Didn't know you were involved in that." I'm like, "Are you guys kidding?
you know
What
what
do you want
this
me to do? We need a flag."
we do. We need to run through the streets. Okay, so listen,
Yes.
I am not seeing this live on my page, which is
Neither am
very
I.
frustrating. But it says that we're live. Let me just maybe it's live on it says live, let's talk. Okay, you know what? Let's see. Maybe it's recording it. Um
Yes.
I
So do we have it recorded? That's another thing I want to ask you, because I would love, after this interview, we're able to actually post it on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn
okay.
seems to be, yeah.
Perfect. So it says that we're live on link on we're live on Zuri Wine's Instagram page. Okay.
On Insta.
Yeah, so we're live on Instagram. I
So
guess
it
people
needs
would
to
have to
notify us. Okay. Okay. Uh
listen, you guys, this is not our specialty. Our specialty is all things all things social media.
if you are watching us, please bear with us.
Yes, but we're just going to start the conversation. I think that
Yeah.
we're live and we'll figure out how to download this conversation. And first of all, you look gorgeous per
Oh,
always.
hey baby. We represent.
Yes, let me introduce you guys. Okay, so this is my dear good friend and like business associate and all
Yes.
things wine, especially in Bordeaux, France, y'all. She is running things in Bordeaux, and I'm super proud of her. Her name is Chinedu Rosa, Vines by Rosa. So if you have a moment, go look at her Instagram page, check her out, Vines by Rosa. She's simply amazing. So she started with her friend, her good friend, Jane Anson. They started Bordeaux Mentor Week, right? And we'll
Mhm.
get into Bordeaux Mentor Week because Bordeaux Mentor Week was actually one of my motivations to actually pull the trigger on Afro Wine Week. And I'll tell you that story later. They started this really wonderful program called Bordeaux Mentor Week, where they sponsor 7 different mentees from all over the world, and they host them in Bordeaux so that people can learn. Is it eight? Is it nine now? How
Hey.
many years was that? Eight. Eight. Okay, I love growth, right? Mentees, it's an all expense paid trip. They help them with their visa. They get them to Bordeaux, and these mentees are people who are passionate about wine, but they wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to travel to France to study wine.
Yeah.
And I went as a mentor last week, and it was pretty amazing. I actually went as a mentor, but I felt like I was menteed. So it's a pretty great program, and I'm super proud of them. So shout out to Bordeaux Mentor Week. It's an award-winning
Yeah.
program. Shout out to Chi Chi and to Jane for doing
Yeah.
such an amazing job,
Thank
and just
you.
making sure that people who don't necessarily have the usual lifestyle of wine get to go and experience the lifestyle, the culture,
Exactly.
the traditions, and the history.
Exactly.
So welcome to.
Darling, thank you. That
I
is a
know
beautiful introduction. Thank you
I know it
so
was a
much.
long introduction. And so besides her work for the community, she has this really fabulous business where she takes wines from France and she takes them to the African continent, mostly Nigeria, right? So she takes wines from France and from Italy and
Italy,
finds
France, Portugal, US, and Spain, and South Africa also coming across. So,
Hello. I love it. I love it. But I'm especially excited about the fact that, most people, when you think about the African continent, people would say, oh gosh, you're going to lose money. That's crazy.
no,
People in Africa don't drink wine, right? And oh my gosh, the amount of fine wine that you're sending over to Lagos
my
and to other
darling.
African
It's,
countries.
it's not just Lagos. You need to. That's. I don't want us to deviate from Afro Wine Week, but this is an introduction that I take very personally because people talk about Africa. Africa is 52 great countries individually. Each of this country has nothing less than 50 million people, and this is a continent. So when you're talking about Africa, I like people, like you said, Nigeria, Togo, Ghana, South Africa. You need to be really distinctive about the countries you're talking about. And fine wine has been in Africa for years. I started this my wine journey 25 years ago, and I came into it with fine wine. There was already fine wines in Nigeria. So it
Yeah.
was not a matter of, oh, all of a sudden we are discovering. We're not just discovering fine wine.
No,
We are
but not just
making fine
discovery,
wine.
but I feel like, it's an emerging market,
Yeah,
right? So it's an emerging market. And I think that for a long time, there were very few people who were taking their time and their energy and their resources to distribute wine into these African countries, right?
yes, very
Um,
correct.
and so, like, I'm super proud of you for doing that. And that's
Thank
part
you.
of what Afro Wine Week is all about, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Um, and so not only on the African continent, but when we talk about Afro Wine Week, you guys, Afro Wine Week is September 5th through the 13th.
Yes.
When we talk about Afro Wine Week, it's really to support Afro people in the diaspora. I know when I
Hmm.
started in wine, I would go to these wine conferences and there would be three people who looked like me in the entire wine
Oh
conference.
yeah. Oh yeah.
300 people, right? And oh man. And so like now I think it's changed a lot. Now we see Afro people all over the world getting
Hmm.
involved in the wine industry.
Sommeliers,
Mhm.
wine educators. I mean,
Winemakers,
winemakers.
viticulturalists, um, luxury like guest houses and things
Yeah,
like that.
the whole lifestyle.
Yes, but we need more. And so that's what Afro Wine Week is about. It's just about like, because there's also like in South Africa, one of the first things that I noticed when I moved to South Africa was um, the amount of people of color who worked in the tasting rooms, in the vineyard,
Exactly.
talented winemakers, right?
Yeah.
And, we want to go from workers to owners. We want justice, we can't have
Tell me
just
about it.
we work,
Exactly.
but we
Exactly.
definitely want to have more ownership in the
I
value.
think I think this is why our paths crossed, Tuani, because
Yeah.
it's all about, even when we talk about the Bodo Mental Week and what I do here in Bodo, I came in, I just wanted to work for a company. I wasn't thinking of owning my own company, right? It was because I couldn't get a job. As somebody who had already been in the business for 10 years, I
Mhm.
couldn't get a job when I came to Bodo because I didn't fit the profile.
Mhm.
And they didn't understand that a black woman, a Nigerian woman, knew anything about wine or sales of wine or fine wine in particular. And that was my specialty. And nobody wanted to employ me. So, what we're trying to do with Afro Wine Week, and that is why I'm so proud of this whole innovate, like it's, you make me essentially wake up in the morning and say thank you, Lord, because the whole idea of mentoring people and seeing people of color winning, this is what we are meant to do. This is
Yeah.
for other people to see us, because when we talk about representation and having people that you can look up to, we didn't have that,
Mhm.
right? So we are now creating and improving on what we already have and bringing more people of color into the mist. And that is why Bodo Mental Week is such an amazing program. And that is why we wanted you. And that was why I was so happy you were able to join us last year. And now, putting the icing on the cake, having the Afro Wine Week in South Africa, a country a wine producing country, but we know the percentage of black owners, like there's practically none, minus our friend Paul, who owns
Right.
their winery 100%, 100%, right? The rest are owned by our white brothers, which is not a problem, honestly. But what I'm saying is there should be equity. There should be more presence of black people who we know are the winemakers behind the winemakers. They
Well,
should be able to shine.
yeah, and then that's the thing too. So like even programs like Bordeaux Mentor Week, you
Yeah.
have the Cape Winemakers Guild Association, Cape Winemakers Guild. You have a lot of different programs to support the talent, right? And these are
Yes.
programs that I'm so grateful for and so thankful for. But then
Mhm.
what next? Like what after that? What after you acquire the
You have
talent?
created a winemaker, but he doesn't have a property. He doesn't have like there is
The
no
lane, even the lane for leadership is so small, right? So there's very few winemakers who graduate from winemaking schools, some of the best winemaking schools, even enter some of these amazing programs.
yeah.
And after that, how many of them become head winemakers, or how many of them have like a property of their own so that they can, do something that they love and make money.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
Afro Wine Week, you guys. Okay, so let's just talk about the details and the bolts of Afro Wine Week, the bottle and the cork of Afro Wine Week, right? So Afro Wine Week is an amazing summit, and um, it's basically 7 days, right? So it's 7 days, and if you work in the wine industry, you know that our business is not just about business. Our business is about lifestyle. It's about networking. It's about culture, tradition, heritage, all those great things, right?
Yes.
People come to the beautiful Cape Town, and we're asking people to come on the 5th, right? Come a day before we actually start, networking and like
Exactly.
community.
Get to
Um,
meet us. Get to meet us. Get to meet some
yes,
nice
get
people.
settled in, because no matter where you're coming from, it's a long flight.
Exactly.
And then on the 6th, we start an actual program. So we start with an opening ceremony where we'll have dinner at Wild V Bistro in Durbanville. It's a Black owned restaurant. It's
Yeah.
brothers from Ghana. Whoop, 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 in the winelands. So we'll have a beautiful dinner there. We'll have like a movable feast. We'll have a couple different Black owned wine brands pouring their wines. You'll get to meet some of the winemakers, talk to them, sip their wines. You'll also get to meet other investors, other wine enthusiasts, and have a really amazing meal.
Exactly.
That's our opening ceremony. And
What
then
an opening.
it's the grand opening ceremony, right?
Love it.
And then the next day we have my very famous Sips with Soul. I love to brag about this Sips with Soul
You
tour.
have to. Come on.
Yeah, because it features Black people in the wine industry. And because it features Black people in the wine industry, because I've leaned into our culture, it's gotten international recognition. So
Exactly.
we'll go to like as Lena's tasting room, we'll go to Dia Donay and taste with Greg Siebritz, the Black winemaker there. We'll
Nice.
go to Paul's place, Klein Hoederes, and we'll have a brie, his famous lamb brie. And so it's going to
So
be
good.
I mean, the Sips with Soul tour is one of my favorite days in the world. And so then after that, that Monday is when we start the work. That's when we start to have these really impactful, meaningful conversations, right? And they're not conversations just to whine about what we don't have and what somebody else
Oh
has.
no, we don't have time for that. No,
We
no,
don't have time for that.
no,
Nobody has time for that, right?
no,
They're going
no.
to be conversations about how can we grow? How can we invest? How can we build?
Yeah,
I'd like to have like this Disneyland of wine property location where we have a guest house, we have a beautiful tasting room, we
exactly.
activities, So, how can we get to that point? And
Yeah.
we'll have industry leaders in real estate, in investment, in winemaking, in tourism and hospitality. And so we'll all get together and we'll try to, figure this plan out.
Yeah, but 20, one of the most important things that people got have to know about this very amazing event that you're putting together is not just um, we're coming to sit down and chat. It's going to be action. It's going to be
Yes.
full with momentous action where people would really see a situation and an opportunity to invest in
Yeah,
black wine producers, wine people in the industry, and it's going to be groundbreaking
it is.
because
And when
it's
you
the
talk about,
first time black people will come together
mm-hmm,
in the wine industry to help uplift other black people in
yes,
the wine industry. It's a
help
totally
build,
different thing.
help
Yeah,
build a community, right?
exactly.
And so when you talk about like the work, the real work and the actionable items, so we're working with financial advisors, for example, to create a couple mock business plans, right?
Yeah,
So like if you have some change to spare and you'll have this, and it's based on your interests too, right?
yeah,
So you
of
have this
course.
mock business plan for like a co-op seller, right? What does that look like? Does it look like sole ownership? Does it look like community ownership? And
Yeah.
how much does it cost to actually start this, right?
So,
So
Tuani, there is a very lovely example, you guys. That's one of the things we're going to be talking about. One of the things that we're going to put into actions is the cooperative. Here in Bordeaux, here in France, there's a lot of cooperatives. In Europe as a whole village comes together and have a vineyard. A whole village comes together. Like each farmer is taking care of his crops. We have somebody. We have the engineering team, we have the technical team, so they go and make sure that all the wines, all the grapes are being taken care of properly, and then at the end of the day, the during harvest, everything comes into one house, and different wines are made with technical assistance, with everything needed to produce your wine. Ferment tanks, everything is there. So
yes.
this is something that I think Afro Wine Week can really change the landscape of winemaking in South Africa. If we can have the proper investors who are ready to come and say, listen, this can be done. Let's create a wine. Let's create a situation where anybody with talent
Yeah.
can come. And even don't forget, it's also a place for mentoring young people. Young
Yes.
people will come, there will be jobs for them to do, they will be able to shadow winemakers, they'll be able to see what it takes to make a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And there is different jobs. We should never just talk about the wines, like you said. We're
Yeah.
talking about marketing strategy, designing. We're talking about tourism
It's
is
endless. And
the
that's why
sky's the limit.
when you think about the wine value chain from grape to glass, it's
Yeah,
definitely endless. It includes everything,
you.
including
Oh my god.
hospitality. So
Yeah,
one of my favorite parts about Afro Wine Week is our integration with Cape Wine. So Cape Wine is happening the 10th through the 13th, right? And
exactly.
it happens every 3 years, and it's a really
Mhm.
big deal, guys. It's actually a wine trade show, right? So it's
Yeah.
intended for people who are looking for wine juice to buy for whatever reason on small scale,
Hmm.
large scale, premium
Premium
juice.
wines, everything from
Yeah,
outside of the.
and so it's a trade show, but what happens is people come to our conference, our wine summit, and they get to learn about all the parts of the value chain, right? And, a lot of people, they think that, well, they don't think, but a lot of people are interested or motivated by having their own wine brand, right? And so some of our people might be like restaurant owners, or even if you have a business, wine is
Exactly.
great for branding, right? So you can connect with these people who are selling wine juice, and you can work out deals so that you can bottle and have your own label. Um,
100%.
yeah, that's like
100%.
it's an easy way to just access the market. And even if that's not your goal, right?
Yeah.
You still get to meet people who are making the wines. And so when you have a future project, you get to
You
just
know where to go.
you get to know. And plus there'll be all kind of other people in the room, barrel makers, glass makers, cork suppliers, all
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
people in the
No,
room.
everything. It's a whole circle. It's a whole circle of the
It
wine
is.
industry. And one of the reasons why I'm so excited to be there this year is what Vines by Rosa does for the African continent is actually helping African wine enthusiasts or people who really want to create a brand, who want to do something out of the box to create their own wine brand. That
Yes,
is one of the things we do. So coming to Cape Town, if you think of any kind of wine that is specifically for wines from South Africa, but I mean the sky's the limit. If you
it
want
is.
to have a brand from South Africa, you want one from Provence, you want one from Chianti, it is possible for you can become a wine brand owner, a spirits brand owner, and get into this beautiful business. This business, I don't know why we sometimes we don't see the end of the rainbow. It might look far, but it's not very far. For people
Ah,
who are already into the business, they know the
yes.
advantages of being in the wine trade. And I mean, we
And
can make it happen.
yeah, and speaking of the end of the rainbow, I mean, gosh, I'm looking at the rainbow that's so beautiful right now, and Afro Wine Week is at the end of that rainbow, and honestly, Afro Wine Week is 3 months away. Can you believe
Yeah,
that?
I
It's
can't.
3
We
months
talked
away.
about this. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
see,
incredible.
I've been talking about Afro Wine Week, not necessarily in its full concept as it is right now,
I
but I've been
remember.
this for years, right? And like we launched it in January when I finally pulled the trigger. And
Mm,
that was after coming to Bordeaux in June and then
yes,
back to Bordeaux in
in
September
September.
and just being inspired by the tradition and how they built this market around wine, right?
Yeah,
And so in January, I pulled the trigger. I was talking to my daughter and I was like, gosh, I really want to do this project, but it scares me. It literally
yeah,
scares me. And she was like, Mom, you've done so many great things already in the wine industry. You can do this. And literally, that was the catalyst for me saying, let me just pull the trigger. Let me do this Afro Wine Week. And so now it's here. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. But that rainbow 3 months away. And I just want to say, if you're thinking about coming to Afro Wine Week, don't think about it. Just do it. Just
just
come.
come, just come. You're gonna have a great time. First of all, you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be fantastic networking. No matter what business you're into, it's going to be tasting of some of the most amazing wines,
Yes.
and you're gonna be with Tuanni. Tuanni is the creme de la creme of when it comes to really having a great time in Cape.
You
I can guarantee you that you would
And you know
never
what I am though?
regret.
What I'm most proud about is I'm a connector, right? So like I'm a
That's our
connector.
job, girl. That's
Yes.
our job. This is what I. That's why I
Yes.
love what we do, because people don't see. Um, Bringing people together is what wine does.
Yes.
And that's why I feel sad when somebody says, "Oh, I say, you don't have to drink wine. You don't
Yeah.
have to partake in it. But the whole ambience of opening a bottle of wine is that connection. People connect immediately, and it's a
Yes.
beautiful thing to see. And I can't wait to be in Afro Wine Week, because we will be
It's
connecting all the dots.
gonna be amazing. I'm so excited to connect the dots. And this is the first one, right? And so
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm
Of
really
many to come. Of
you guys
many to come.
don't even know how nervous I am when I think about Afro Wine Week. It's like my child. Like I feel like I'm pregnant with this baby and I just can't wait
Babe,
for it to come out. Like,
we
you've done
keep
all
giving
this.
birth, even though we're scared. We keep doing it, and once we do
Yes,
it, it always turns out great. So you ain't
yes.
got anything to worry about.
And so let me just talk a little bit about some of the people who are involved. Of
Yeah.
course, Chinedu, like, and it's funny because when I thought about who I wanted to participate and who I thought would lend a great voice, um, there were just like a short list of people who came to mind right away. There was a
Mm.
long list of people that are just would be amazing, right? But of course, Chinedu, she had just hosted. This was like before you were about to host Paris Wine Week, right? And
Yes.
when
Yes.
she told me the
Oof.
topic of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so perfect, right?
Yeah.
What was it? Africa, why now, right? As it
I
relates to
mean, that was amazing. That is the first time an African had participated as an exhibitor in the Wine Paris in Vinexpo. So
I
for
love
me, it was a big deal. It's still a big deal for
it's a
me
big
and
deal.
Vines by Rosa, and just support. Like you're like, no, seriously. And then for us to be able to host a talk with five we were five of us. So there was four amazing wine professionals from Kenya, from South Africa, from Togo, and then a lovely friend of mine who is two South Africans. We had one South African and Togo. So we had Africans talking about Africa for the first time in on a wine panel, because people talk about Africa. You don't even know Africa.
Can I backtrack to what you said,
Yeah.
because this is the goal, right? Africans talking about Africa, right?
Yes.
And I know I'm not originally,
No,
I
no,
mean,
no, no. Don't you ever say that.
yes, I'm originally
Hey,
from Africa,
we
but
we are talking about who being an African, and I say this to people. Being an African doesn't mean your skin tone. It's what you feel for the country, for the nation, for the continent, for the people.
hmm
You are African. A lot of my husband is African. My friends, a lot of white friends of mine, they are African. We Africans, we do not use the skin tone to say who an African is. That's the difference between being a black African. We do not use the color to say, oh, you're not African. Once we know your heart is in Africa,
yes.
you are African.
Yes, and that's the whole point. Our heart
Yeah,
is in Africa. We want Africa to grow. We want Africa
exactly.
to thrive, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, I love the fact that you mentioned that, because that's what this is all about too. It's like investing in the continent, and there's been so many people who have come and who have taken from the continent and left, right?
Yes,
But this
yes,
is about like investing in the continent and being here, giving
exactly,
back to the continent, giving back to
exactly.
all the people.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's really important.
Let's be serious. Like, smile again.
Me and Chi Chi, these are conversations that we
Oh
have.
God,
We will go on like all
hours.
and all night. I did want to give out some key information. What I was talking about, I was talking about the people that are involved. So of course I
Mhm.
reached out to Chi Chi, and of course it was a yes from her right
Oh
away.
God.
And then I reached out to Theodora Lee. Theodora Lee is an amazing by trade. She's a professional lawyer, like full time at a very big law firm.
Yeah,
And by weekend nights, free time, she is a farmer, and she has this beautiful farm in Northern California. And she has a wine brand. She makes wines from the grapes that she actually grows on this farm that she owns.
yeah,
And so she has an amazing wine brand called Theopolis Vineyards. And so she's going to be one of our speakers. I reached out to Paul Seguta. Oh, I almost said that right. Paul Seguta.
sick.
My tongue is getting strong,
Seguta.
right? So Paul is the owner. He and Rodney, they are the two magical men behind Claim Hoot and Rust, the 100% Black-owned farm in French Hook.
Yeah,
And they have an amazing story. They grew up on a wine farm. They are literally the last generation of farm laborers, per se. Now they're farm owners. And
yeah,
Wayne Hooterness. So he's going to be one of our keynote speakers, and I'm super
yeah,
excited about that. Who else do we have? We have Phil Bowles, who is going to be one of our speakers too. He is a manager over at SA Wines, and I'm super excited to hear him talk
yeah.
about, just the overall wine industry in South Africa, right? Who else do we have? Gosh, I know I'm forgetting some people.
But listen, whether we forget anybody now, the whole point of today, just having this chat, is
Yeah.
people gotta know what's coming.
Yes.
They gotta be ready for what's coming,
Yes.
and the success that this would bring to black wine producers, either whether you're from South Africa or not. This is going to be a flagship moment. It's going to be a moment to change the mindset of a lot of people in the profession, to let them know they are not being ignored. They are seen, and
Yes.
we want to make that, to give them that platform where they can grow, where they can do thought things that they've been imagining, that it can come true. And I think, Tuani, if we can even get the first step in, which is what you're doing now, and start this conversation and get some interested partners and people's ears, you know, they hear us, they listen. That already is a big deal. That means your job is already half done.
Oh gosh, yes.
We just, let's just start. This is the thing. Starting is the most difficult part. But once you start and it gets to the right ears,
Oh my goodness,
we're off.
you're gonna make me cry
We're
because
off. No, but
honestly,
you know, girl, you know. I know I know how hard you've been working towards this, and in no circumstances will anybody bring you back, because this, you've taken the first step. We've made the announcement. People are hearing about this. And that's why I said, if we need to take flags in the street and make some noise, we
oh
have.
gosh, you know what? In America, we're taking our fans. So we're taking
Yeah.
our fans to the street and we are making some noise. Oh my God, Chi Chi, this is such a long life. But you know what? Like I said, me and you, we can have a marathon. We could
No,
talk about
no, we need to put a timer for ourselves, because we never stop. We never stop. But we are not just talkers, we are doers. We do, we walk the walk, we talk the talk, but we also walk the walk. And
yeah.
that is what it's all about. We can have fun, we can be laughing, but we have serious intentions, and
Yes.
they are gonna come true.
Okay, so before we take off though, I just want to see if there's any comments. Let me see if I could see this. I have this new thing. Let me see if there's any comments in the chats. If you guys have any questions about Afro Wine Week, please put the comments in the chat. I can't see them right now for whatever reason, but I promise you I will get
We
back to
will respond.
yeah,
Exactly.
we will respond. If you want to hop on a live and you want to ask those questions, you guys know I'm a ham. So you guys know I'm willing to be on live. Or if you want a more personal experience, if you have my WhatsApp, send me a WhatsApp. If you don't, just send me a DM. I'm
Yeah,
happy
exactly. On Instagram.
questions, any of the travel logistics around Afro Wine Week, we have a range of different packages. If you just want to come for the summit and you don't need travel arrangements, you can do that. If you want the
Exactly.
full package, we've partnered with the Real South Africa. They have an entire travel package where we will take good care of you during that package. So just go to the Afro Wine Week website, afrowineweek.com. You can register for Afro Wine Week just so that you can join our community and you can get more information. Yeah,
Oh,
send
let
me.
me just say this. And then for people who are in France or in Europe and you are interested in this Afro One Week, I say, and I repeat it, the skin tone doesn't tell who you are in Africa, is your heart. So if you're interested in being part of this, if you want to come to Afro Wine Week and you're in Europe, you want more information, please just DM me. I will make sure you get everything you need to be in South Africa with us for sure.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, Chi, let's
Yes.
go before
Ali.
we stay on this call for all day. Like I said, you can follow Chi Chi Vines by Rosa on Instagram. You can register for Afro Wine Week anytime. Just DM me, click
Yes.
the link in my bio to
Right.
register for Afro Wine Week.
Exactly.
Yeah, and hopefully
Oh, I
we,
should put that link on my bio too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I'll
yeah,
send
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. And I will see you guys in September. Thank you so much for wishing us all the success. We
Thank
appreciate
you. Who
the
is
group.
that?
It's B Media Group. Hey, shout out to B Media Group.
Thank you.
All right. Bye everyone.
Bye, bye, bye. Talk to you later. Oh, there's a message. Okay.